good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are, in whichever realms of existence you are, whatever mind states you're in, whatever conditions you're in. As always, you're welcome to my channel. Welcome to the ocean of Am. And during this season, when the veil between the worlds is thin, I am, of course, your host, Shakugankai. Good evening, mate.
Good evening,
Namu
Gankai. Namu Butsu.
Namu Butsu. Namu. Namu. Good to see you.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt just then. Right at the start. Sorry.
I couldn't resist.
Very
It
cool.
was too great an opportunity. I was saving this for my Mara Dharma, and the next episode of my Mara Dharma series, but this preempted it. This occasion preempted it. So I've worn the cape for the occasion. Anyway.
Yeah. You look very wise and
yes,
mysterious.
And, man, looking into this thing, I didn't even do a huge deep dive, just a bit of a dive into the origins of it. Just took me all different, there's all kinds of traditions and it took me all different directions and made me really reflect on how similar sort of the really ancient sort of traditions are worldwide at this time of the year, in terms of that every culture seems to have a tradition of kind of like the veil is thin, and there's a kind of a ghost spirit kind of tradition starting, anywhere from in, this time of the year through like November. Somewhere in the world, a culture has that, from their kind of ancient times. There's a lot of similarities, actually. But anyway, and it also kind of made me reflect a bit on my old pagan days back in the day. For a couple of years, I dabbled in the world of the pagans, of the modern neo-pagans. With obviously it was an overlay of kind of like sort of Taoism, East Asian shamanism, and Buddhism.
Right. Yeah.
Over the you know what I mean? But it was, I still was kind of part of that tradition, shall we say, for a couple of years, few years, say 2-3 years, something like that.
Have you ever visited Stonehenge?
I have.
As a pagan?
It was quite moving, actually, for me. I wasn't a pagan by then. I was a Buddhist by then, but it was still quite moving to actually finally see it and be there. I'm getting chills now remembering that.
Yeah, I would like to do that. Yeah, I haven't done it.
You've never been? Oh, okay, yeah.
I have been, but not for the summer solstice or the
winter
solstice.
I've never been to the solstice. I've visited. I've just visited, but just being there, I was quite moved. It was quite intense because, this was something like all my life, I learned about, or, had imagination about, or, interest in through kind of, whether it was anthropological stuff or sci-fi stuff, or do you know what I mean? Or obviously spirituality with the pagan stuff. And so when I finally got there, it was, this is real. I was actually here. I was actually there, so it was I found it quite, and just all the ancient, traditions and all the ancient peoples and all of that kind of, the presence of all that, really, I felt very moved when I was there the first and only time. Actually, I've never been back to visit it. I've driven past it quite a bit, actually, on my trips to back and forth when I have to journey to work.
Right.
Yeah. Every now and again. But when I'm not working from home, that is. So anyway, so
let me just get this straight. So is Bono, but the Bono Festival, is it? Wait, you were saying like other cultures have similar traditions. So is it? Sorry, how do you pronounce it?
The Bon Festival. Yeah, I'll bring up. I used ask AI to kind of come up with an outline for us to
Is
kind
it
of
like a
go through.
Halloween kind of thing? Is
There,
it similar to
well,
Halloween?
it has some Halloween. Yeah, I did this
Hmm.
just it's not really Halloween, but there is. I mean, some Samhain or Samhain, as some pronounce it. There's a lot of similarities with that kind of the European pagan traditions. But anyway, let's look. Let me get the let me share my screen and hopefully gain strength through the sharing, as always. Must I must give I must give a nod always to Cybok when I'm sharing my screen. Bear with me a moment. There we go. So yeah, here we go. And this is kind of I'll just brief kind of go through the question I asked because it's fairly detailed. I just want to give an idea of the parameters of what I was asking it for. Um, so I said, "Hi, please can you outline the origins of the Hungry Ghost Festival, starting from the various millennia old Ghost and Ancestor festival traditions of East Asia, and then their syncretization with syncretization with the various Daoist and Confucian ghost slash ancestor traditions, and ultimately with the Buddhist Hungry Ghost festivals later on. In this outline, please devote an entire section to the specific original ghost and ancestors Bon festivals in ancient Japan and their later syncretization with Shinto and Confucian ghost slash ancestor festival traditions, and ultimately with the Buddhist Hungry Ghost Festival later on. Then please provide a slightly detailed outline of the modern Japanese Obon Festival season celebrated worldwide. Lastly, provide a slightly detailed outline of how Jodo Shinshu Buddhist would interpret the festival through Shin Buddhist teachings and how Buddhists celebrate the festival worldwide. Please also include the specific festival rituals, practices, and other methods of celebration and observance for each era and tradition, etc. So that was my prompt.
Okay.
And this is what it kind of gave us. So I don't know how much will. Can you do two sessions tonight, by the
Yeah,
way?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah.
So we might be able to get through this then. But so yeah, how do you want to approach this? Do you mind if we kind of just you want to read a bit and then kind of discuss it a bit,
Yeah, of
that sort of
course.
thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Read.
So let's
Yeah.
do it. So do you want to begin?
Sure.
All
Sure,
right.
I'll begin. Okay, so the Hungry Ghost Festival is one of East Asia's most enduring spiritual observances, serving as a profound reflection on filial piety, mortality, and the relationship between the living and the deceased. Over several millennia, the festival evolved from early animistic ancestor worship into a multi-layered tradition incorporating Taoist, Confucian, and Buddhist worldviews, according to Ask AI.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Okay, so origins in ancient
Yeah.
East Asian ancestor worship. So long before the codification of formal religious systems, ancient East Asian societies practiced animistic ancestor worship. In the Shang Dynasty China, between 1600 and 1046 BC, diviners inscribed petitions on oracle bones, often called dragon bones, to communicate with ancestral spirits. Ancestors were believed to hold immense power over the living realm, influencing harvest yields, weather, family health, and political stability. Interesting it mentions about dragon bones, like oracle bones,
Yeah.
because I thought because yeah, I thought they used turtle shells for things like that, but they used bones, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because yeah, because like with the I Ching, like in China, I thought that was specifically for turtle shells, but that's interesting.
It's okay. I was curious about the dragon bones, like what they were about actually. Let's do the Chinese medicine, see what it says about. It brings it to Longu. So dragon bones or Longu are fossilized bones of ancient mammals used in
Okay.
traditional Chinese medicine for various ailments. They are believed to have calming, grounding, and astringent properties, which are thought to help with anxiety, restlessness, insomnia, and other conditions involving fluid loss. The bones are primarily composed of calcium carbonate, calcium phosphate. Oh, just going into they are used in both raw and calcined forms. The raw form is cleaned, dried, and crushed, while the calcined form is heated intensely to change its chemical structure and therapeutic properties. Lungu is not part of mainstream medicine and should gotta love the they have to give that little disclaimer caveat. Anyway,
Okay.
so yeah, there you go. Dragon bones. Very
They'll just
cool.
call it Dragon Bones. Yeah.
Yeah. Just, yeah. So yeah, it's uh so the immense power of a living realm influencing harvests, weather, family. So these it's very quite it's pretty significant. These this I would say these festivals because these are like pretty important aspects of their lives, at
Yeah.
that time. Well, and to this day. So it's just I think it was hugely important. I don't think it can be kind of underestimated how important these festivals were.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
did you read this part? No, you just read the last one, right?
Yeah, that's right. Shall I
Yeah.
carry on?
Okay. Oh, well, we could take turns.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
give you a break. So early ritual practices. During this period, ritual practices revolved around seasonal agricultural cycles. Sacrifices of food, wine, and livestock were offered at local altars and family shrines to ensure ancestral protection. The end of the summer harvest naturally coincided with communal gatherings where a portion of the yield was dedicated to the spirits. Misfortune, illness, illness, or poor crops were frequently attributed to neglected or malevolent spirits who lacked proper sacrifices. So this is where we get into these festivals kind of being um, sort of um, protect like spiritual bio containment biohazard containment practices, or spiritual yeah, weather manipulation practices, um etc. And also maybe, you know, kind of spiritual anger management for these for
Yeah.
these neglected or malevolent spirits who lacked proper sacrifices. Anything you want to say about any of that?
No, no, that's yeah, that's
Just keep going.
yeah, no,
All
I
right.
haven't. So yeah, carry on.
Read the next one. You want to read the
Sure,
next one? Yeah.
sure. So syncretism with Taoism and Confucianism. As Chinese philosophy expanded during the Zhou dynasty, 1046 to 256, and subsequent eras, ancestral veneration was formalized through Confucian and Daoist frameworks. That doesn't mention Buddhism then.
Chinese. Yeah, I think it'll get to that later. This is still
Hmm.
BCE. This is before the Common Era is talking
Okay.
about. So it'll get to that later, I think, in the I want to read the next one. That was
Just
a short
before.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So Confucian philosophy. piety. Confucianism transformed ancestral veneration into an ethical duty centered on filial piety. Filial obligations did not terminate at death. Rather, descendants were expected to maintain ongoing reverence for departed elders. Confucian rituals emphasized solemnity, structured mourning, and regular ancestral offerings at home altars and grave sites. While traditional Confucianism focused primarily on honoring one's direct line of ancestors, it established the cultural imperative that human beings must never forget their origins. Right.
So again, I mean, that's huge continuity, huge glue of the culture uh, of the time. So these festivals, I think you can't underestimate the power or the importance of them, you know, kind of in like, you know, in sort of Western culture, we think of Halloween, and it's it's
Yeah.
it doesn't have it doesn't quite have that same in modern times, I guess. It doesn't have quite that same, you know, uh, significance to
Hmm.
us. But I think in ancient pagan pagan ways, it did. Anyway, so
There was a lot more like unknowable things, with technology,
yes,
you know, we've kind of
exactly.
gained some insight
Yeah,
into,
yeah,
you know, into certain things, but that's what I suppose that's
mm,
why it kind of helped ground them, I suppose, and with
exactly.
like the mysteries of death and things, and I'm guessing, I mean, this is with Confucius, but with Taoism, it goes way back before when Shakyamuni appeared. So
Yeah, 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 exactly, exactly. And with, talking about Taoism and Confucianism, and you mentioned where's Buddhism, and I just mentioned the time frame, but to me, these kind of are Buddhism in disguise. You know what I mean?
yeah,
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 they seem they're a bit sus because they are sus in the sense that I think that I sense Buddhas and Bodhisattvas behind their development, as it were. So, but
yeah,
anyway,
I get that.
yeah. All right. So we'll go on to the Taoist bit. Speaking of Taoism, so Taoist cosmic framework and the Zhongyuan Festival. Taoism introduced a structured cosmology of the afterlife and spiritual realms. Under the Taoist three yuan concept, or San Yuan concept. Apologies for my Chinese pronunciation. I'm not going to be getting that right. Sorry, I should shift my screen a bit. Um, Under the Taoist three yuan concept, three celestial officials govern the spheres of existence. Shang Yuan, 15th day of the first lunar month, govern the heavenly official. Zhongyuan, 15th day of the seventh lunar month, govern the earthly official who pardons sins. Xianyuan, Xiawan, 15th
That
day of
one.
the 10th lunar, yeah, 15th day of the 10th lunar month, govern the water official. During the Zhongyuan festival, on the 15th day of the seventh lunar month, the earthly official pardons the sins of suffering spirits and opens the gates of the underworld, Diu. Uh, Taoist priests held elaborate rituals, Buddha or Pudu, to petition the earthly official for mercy on wandering, unattached ghosts who died violently or without descendants. So we can kind of already see the kind of similar kind of approach here, even though Buddhism hasn't come in yet to the picture, similar kind of approach toward the hungry ghost realm that Buddhists kind of take.
Right.
Can hear echoes of that in this, I think,
Yeah.
definitely. So anything about that? I always love this stuff. I love the Taoist cosmology, the heavenly, how it's all, the heavenly bureaucracy, as it were.
Yeah. Isn't the Jade Emperor? Isn't
Yes,
he
all
yeah,
part of
the
that. Yeah. In
Daoist?
fact, that's another part of this that I was gonna raise. I don't know if it raises it later in the outline, that there's with um the ancestor veneration in China, they even deify certain ancestors and certain they become kind of like, yeah, like the Jade Emperor. It becomes like this certain, certain leaders and certain family members and certain famous personages would even become deified in this kind of ancestral veneration,
Hmm.
kind of cultural tradition or whatnot. So it's again very important to these festivals at this time of the year are very important, um, cultural and spiritual and religious festivals. All right. So during did I so oh I did read that, yeah. Okay. You want to read the next bit? Do you have anything else you wanted to say about that bit?
No, no, I don't think so. No.
Okay, here you go. They've
Okay.
they're bringing it in now. Buddhism is here at last. At last.
Yes. So, integration of Buddhist traditions, the hungry ghost concept. So, during the Han and Tang dynasties, Buddhism spread across China, bringing Indian cosmological ideas about rebirth, merit transfer, or transference,
Yeah.
and the Preta hungry ghost realm. So,
So you can read the next one.
so like the Buddhist cosmology was kind of kind of what's the word? Reinforcing the idea of these ghosts,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the underworld and things.
Yeah, exactly,
Um,
exactly. And I think, in a way, I feel like the these cultures were kind of through Confucianism and Taoism kind of prepared. The way was prepared for Buddhism to kind of come in gently and assimilate within, as Buddhism does. It assimilates within it assimilates to whatever culture it goes into, and it was just already
setting the
kind of
scene.
ready
Yeah,
for it. I feel like it, kind of reorganized it all a bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the Yulin Pen and the Ulumbana Sutra, the Buddhist tradition merged seamlessly with East Asian filial values through the Yulin Pen Sutra, also I'm guessing also known as, yeah, the Ulumbana Sutra. The sutra tells the story of Madgyal Yayana, known in China as Mulian, a devoted disciple of the Buddha who used his supernatural powers to locate his deceased mother. He discovered her suffering in the realm of the hungry ghosts, beings depicted with needle-thin necks and distended bellies, unable to swallow food because it transformed into burning embers upon touching their lips. So,
Quite harrowing.
hmm,
The ghost realm. It's
yeah,
quite harrowing, whether it's in the actual ghost realm or humans experiencing it in human ways in the human realm. Quite harrowing. Anyway, what were we going to say?
Mulian is a lot easier to say than Mudgal
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then
Yana.
we'll get the Japanese later when we get to the Obon uh festival, hopefully when we get to the Japanese part. But yeah, but I think even still Mulian is easier to say than the Japanese. But anyway. Um yeah, it's just and that would be quite horrific to discover, in your spiritual research or journey or meditative state, however he came upon that, would be quite, that would be quite horrific, disturbing,
Horrifying. Yeah.
painful. Yeah, to see your own mother in the ghost room. I reflect on this at this time of the year. I mean, we can't know as Bamba, we can't know kind of the way karma works and things, but we do kind of know that our current lifetime does significantly impact what happens, you know, in the bardo, and when we go through those, when we go through all those processes for, to the next rebirth, the previous rebirth, the previous, provisional existence and its mind states and all its conditions has an impact on that significant one. And I always think of, I have a few family members that were, you know, one in particular that was very had well two family members actually that were very addicted, had problems with drug addiction, very serious, all their lives. And I always think of them at this time, and kind of do the hungry ghost things in my own way, thinking of them, at this time, and other family members who I think are very attached people, to this life, and to their, the life they had, and maybe some really disturbing things that happened in their lives. So I could see, do you know what I mean? There's a handful of family members in my kind of extended family that I could see, you know, possibly winding up there. And so I reflect on that when I think of them when, at this time, as well as the kind of celebratory aspect of it all. But anyway,
Yeah.
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 So where do we get to? The burning, yeah, just to the burning embers. Did you read? You read through touching
So
their
yeah,
lips.
you're touching her lips, yeah. So when Mulian could not relieve her suffering alone, the Buddha instructed him to make food and gift offerings to the monastic community, the Sangha, on the 15th day of the seventh lunar month, marking the end of the summer monastic retreat, Pravarana. The collective spiritual merit of the monks transferred to Mulian's mother, liberating her from the hungry ghost realm.
Yeah. When I hear this story, I always think I'm already, my thoughts always go to, um, we don't have to do we can't really do the um offerings in the way that it would transfer merit. We of our own merit and our own power, it really has no or little effect.
Yeah.
And I
We'd like
think,
to think it does, or that we
yeah,
can.
yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, I don't think it personally. I don't think it hurts to still do it. But um, just for just the whole sensibility of it. But I, I do it in a way that I know that it's not my own merit is not what's being, is not being transferred to help these beings through my act, if you see what I mean. Um, and so I always think, the merit transference of Amida is what is gonna the merit transference, the light, the vow of Amida is what's going to ultimately save these beings, all beings, including the hungry ghosts. So
Yeah.
kind of always those reflections kind of always come to mind when I hear this story or think about this thing. Anything else on that you wanted to
No, no,
mention? You sure? No. All right.
no.
All right. Syncretic rituals of universal salvation. Interesting. The blending of Daoist, Zhongyuan, and Buddhist Yuan Pen um, traditions yielded the comprehensive Hungry Ghost Festival, So key rituals developed during this era included the Joss paper burning, burning hell banknotes. Have you heard of those or seen those
No, I
in
haven't.
videos or whatever? I have heard of that. Paper clothing, houses, and material items to send wealth to spirits in the afterlife. You know, however that kind of translates in their world. Um, Offering food offerings, laying out extravagant feasts outside homes and temples for wandering, ownerless ghosts to prevent them from causing mischief. Water lanterns, releasing floating lotus shaped lanterns on rivers and lakes to light the path for lost souls returning to the underworld, which that's all comes in very significantly in the Obon festival.
Interesting.
Es- Esoteric rituals. Buddhist monks performing rites like Yujia Yankao, Yoga Tantra feeding the hungry ghosts, reciting mantras and scattering rice and water to magically expand the throats of hunger ghosts so they could eat it. Not sure magically is the right word there, but it is. AI is doing its best. It's doing its best. So anything about any of that? It's interesting. Well, of course, you've probably have you seen the water lanterns? You must have seen
Yeah, I've
that
heard of the
somewhere.
water
Very
lantern.
iconic images and videos of that.
What stood out for me was leaving extravagant feasts outside homes and temples for wandering ownerless ghosts. That kind of, I don't know why, but what came to my mind, have you seen Studio Ghibli animation, like the films, the anime films? So, Spirited
Which
Away. Have you
no,
ever heard
I
of the
have
film?
not. I've heard of it, but I've not. No, I've not
Yeah,
actually seen
it's
any of that.
at the
Does it
beginning of
seem
the film.
influenced by this kind of?
Well, you know what? I don't actually know the creator. I don't know what his
Yeah.
background is, but I mean, it just reminded me
Mm,
of that because at the beginning of the film, there's like these massive like plates of food everywhere, but no one's around, and
hmm.
and then they're like outside, and then these humans come along, and they're like, oh, they eat it, and then something bad happens because it wasn't for them,
Yeah,
you
it
know.
wasn't.
I
Yeah,
don't.
exactly. Yeah, it definitely sounds like it was influenced by
Yeah.
this kind of lore. What else did you want to say about did you want to say
No,
anything
no,
else?
all good, all good.
All right, let's see. So, Japanese ancestral roots, the ancient urban and indigenous traditions. In ancient pre-Buddhist Japan, indigenous agrarian practices included early ancestral rites, often grouped under the concept of urban or indigenous kami worship. Right off the bat here, the one thing I want to say, it finally when I was looking, kind of looking things up today and watching some videos and listening to some things about these various topics, the bon really, bonfires, like that's a universal term almost. Do you know what I mean? Everywhere, like bonfires. I thought that was interesting. And then this word, urban. Yeah, I just wonder whether there's a linguistic, kind
Yeah.
of tie to urban, But anyway, interesting. So yeah, which one we have? So indigenous practices and Shinto. Actually, did you want to say anything about that?
No, no, it's
Maybe.
really interesting though. Yeah.
Yeah, the agrarian practices coming in, or included early insights. It's all tied together, isn't it? The the agricultural, ancestral, all that stuff is all tied together in culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's probably some kind of evolutionary, you know, things at work there as well. So, but anyway, um, so indigenous practices and Shinto fusion. Ancient Japanese society viewed ancestral spirits, mitama, as double-edged entities. Spirits were properly venerated. Spirits that were properly venerated became protective guardians, ujigami, uh, whereas neglected or vengeful spirits, uryo, brought disease, natural disasters, and bad fortune. Seasonal rites occurred in early autumn to welcome ancestral spirits back to their villages to share in the early harvest. With the development of Shinto, these native beliefs were formalized around concepts of ritual purity, Harry, and uh, and pollution, Kagari. Death was viewed as a major source of pollution. Shinto rituals aim to pacify troubled spirits through music, kagura, dance, and food offerings, shinkoku. Uh, so the spirits would return peacefully to the mountains or ocean without polluting the community.
Hmm.
Yeah, and in the uh, it was very localized too. This is something I got in my own kind of research today and viewing videos and such. I was talking about the specific localized traditions of these sort of ancestral and ghost traditions, and that the ancestors it was very localized. The ancestors they often believed that they lived in the mountain, whatever mountain was nearest to
Right,
them.
yeah, yeah.
Actually, that was where the spirit realm was. And so you had that, the connection there with the mountain that's always, with the ancestors, the mountain just, always kind of looming over, paramount to, pardon the pun, to everything. And then that's where the rivers, the springs and rivers flow down from there to feed for the feed the
Nourish the
for the
village.
yeah
Yeah.
nurse the etc. Yeah, so it's was all kind of very important and tied together there, strong. And some of the I hope they get into some of the actual. If they don't, I'll try to remember from what I kind of researched myself some of the implications of some of the traditions. It was quite funny, particularly with the hungry ghosts that had no roots, had no ties, had no family to venerate them or provide provisions for them, and the things they would do to kind of contain them, but also the things to contain, to to kind of placate certain ancestors and certain anyway, it was just interesting.
Yeah, cool. I'll check it
So
out.
much to it, though. There's so much. So that's why I figured let's just do a quick outline of this and go from there. Anyway, so right, one more time. Anything else you wanted to mention about any of this that we just
I'm not sure you.
go over?
I can't recall if you read the second paragraph, but maybe
Uh,
my
I think I
memory's like a
did. I think
sieve
I did. The
sometimes.
Shinto. Yeah,
You
I
did?
do remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I do remember reading it. Um,
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But there were things in here even that um, really reflected, like the indigenous practices really reflected again, the indigenous beliefs and practices really there's echoes of the Buddhist teachings about how the cosmology works
Hmm.
and the suffering of these beings and things. But
And that they can affect the human realm
yeah,
as well.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I don't know whether it's a state of mind or maybe there are ghosts that can, you know, toy
yeah,
with us.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So do the next bit here then.
Yes. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Sure. So Confucian influence on Japanese ancestral rites. So When Confucian texts entered Japan via Korea and China around the 5th and 6th century CE, Confucian concepts of filial responsibility were integrated into Japanese court life and clan structure. Ancestral rites became systematically organized around family lineages, lei, establishing clear duties for the household head to honor deceased predecessors.
So becoming more structured, sort of more structured, more specific, and obviously adapting to the new way of things at that time. The
Perhaps more disciplined.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I thought, we've got we're coming into the, oh, was there anything else you wanted to say about that? I was just about to
No,
talk
no,
about
no, no.
that.
That's,
Okay.
that's
So I thought it was important to give all that background about the different ghost traditions, pre-Buddhist ghost traditions across East Asia, um, to kind of give a background to, and the layers that go into the the Obon Festival.
yeah.
Because I had always had this thing, like, I'm like, before I kind of looked into it, I have looked into it before too, but I always had this thing like, well, there's this celebration around, it's essentially the ghost festival, but like, and it's a celebration of ancestors or venerating ancestors and things, but it's like, you don't really want your ancestors to be, you don't want to think of your ancestors in the ghost realm. Before I kind of looked into this, I you know I had those thoughts, but now I see it's just I realized that there's kind of two different things going on. There's two different kind of um spiritual perspectives between like the ancestors and the what we as
Right.
Buddhists think of as hungry ghosts, is kind of two different things there. They can overlap, and they do overlap, but do you see what I'm saying? It was a different, anyway. So, Buddhist fusion and birth of Obon. In 657 Common Era, Empress Saimei officially introduced the Buddhist Yalpen service, uh, Urabon E, to the Japanese court. Let's just say that without. I'm gonna not try to pronounce the. So in 657 Common Era, the Empress officially introduced the Buddhist Yalpen service to the Japanese court. Over time, the indigenous summer spirit festival, Shinto cleansing rites, Confucian ancestral veneration, and the Buddhist Urabon A merged into Obon.
Obon, not
Yeah,
not Bono. What I said,
not
what I said
Bono.
at the
Yeah,
beginning.
the Bono Fest. In the name of love. Sorry. Um, so yeah, this is when it happened. 657 is when it kind of all started coming together.
Yeah, interesting.
So modern worldwide celebration of the Japanese Obon Festival. The only thing before we go on to this, I wanted to say is, so part, like, when we get to the the floating lanterns, one of the traditions that I learned about in Japan that that had to do with these boats floating on the water, that were, with lit with fire or candles or whatever, something like that. With the purpose of them was to was to attract the hungry ghosts, the like the non-ancestor kind of ghosts, to get them away from the festival and then kind of help them placate them somewhere else, kind of thing. But they wanted to get them away from where the ancestors were going to be. So it was almost like this kind of like a mass deportation, a mass spiritual deportation of these hungry ghosts down the river so that they'd be away from things and can be kind of, you know, um, acknowledged or fed or whatever they were going to do, however they did it, with them in another place, something like that. I might be getting some of that wrong, but that was the part of the reason for these floating, you know, boats on the water was to kind of move them on away
Right,
from
interesting.
the
Yeah, I didn't know that.
festivities.
Mm.
Yeah, so which I thought was kind of interesting. So, worldwide celebration of the Japanese Obon Festival. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Sure. So today, Obon is one of Japan's most significant cultural and religious holiday seasons, celebrated every summer in Japan and across global Japanese diaspora communities, such as in Hawaii, North America, and South America. Depending on the regional calendar, Obon takes place in mid-July, uh, Shichi Gatsubon, or mid-August, Hachi Gatsubon. Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like a season. It's like a Obon season. Is how I've heard
Yeah.
it
This is
kind
the
of
first
referred
time
to.
of me ever hearing about this. Like I wasn't
Oh,
aware of
really? Okay.
yeah.
It's always been something I wanted to do this because partly because I just wanted to know more. I've never kind of looked into it in depth. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's an important thing. Mainly it comes you see it you see the like on YouTube there's around this time of the year the Obon things will come up in my recommendations on like YouTube, and I always see it there, Obon, and you get however I've come across it because of my involvement with Jodo Shinshu, you hear about through particularly through the BCA churches these Obon celebrations and festivals. And I always thought, it's around the hungry ghost time, so it must have something to do with that. But you know what I mean? I wasn't ever, but I know there's this ancestor aspect to it, and I just, I wanted to look deeper into it. That's what I was doing. I wish I'd said that in the beginning of the the video. Yeah, so that's why I did this. That's why I wanted to do this video is partly just to learn it myself and what the actual festival is Obon. That's going to be the title for this. What the actual festival is
Mm.
Obon. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it
because I
seems to
mean,
be very important to Jodo Shinshu, you know, people. So obviously through the Japanese culture and things. So I just thought, why not?
mm,
And
yeah.
I'm going to do this more. I'm not going to wait until I've done it, caught up with all my backlog of videos. I'm going to just I'm going to I'm going to upload this like this week. So it's kind of, during the
It is illuminating to know
yeah.
because I feel like, our minds can become conditioned, with the West, Christmas and Easter,
Yeah.
and it kind of just makes me think, oh, well, festivals all across the world, they're just as I don't know that I just kind of assume that, but this is relevant, I mean, all traditional festivals have, roots and things, but.
Yeah.
Um, I tend to I want to always get to the meat of the matter, and kind of find festivals just a bit of fluff. It's
Yeah.
just kind of why are we focusing on them? But it's fascinating to really
Yeah.
consider. So,
Yeah.
hmm,
Definitely. I I wholeheartedly agree. It's interesting
yeah.
too. Another aspect of this, going back to the Chinese. traditions, something I came across in my research for this was there's well, just in general, the whole sort of heaven, heaven veneration, kind of very ancient Chinese. What is it? What's the three things? Heaven, earth, and then in between. But the one of their they used to do traditions. But one of their traditions was around sacrificing animals. Um, when it be and that was specifically when when things kind of they were never monotheistic. I don't think in the sense that like Western culture might think of, but they did have like a main deity that they would look at, Shangdi, and they would do these sacrifices to them, and it all involved like the ancestors and all sorts of things. And it look, when you hear it, it's like, well, that sounds very similar to you know thinking of the Abrahamic um,
Hmm.
traditions,
Yeah.
and also there's this in along that same line, part of this ghost festival specifically was some kind of tradition, pre-Buddhist tradition, where they take animal blood and wipe it above the threshold of their home. Again, very similar to, the kind of Abrahamic thing. Anyway, just something interesting I came
Yeah.
across when looking at the pre-Buddhist stuff with these festivals. Right. Where were we here? So you've just read this, but yeah, right?
Yeah. Should I do the next
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Please.
Sure. So, core customs and rituals. So, number one, Mukaibe, welcome, welcome fires. On the first day of Obon, families light small bonfires at the entrance of their homes or grave sites to guide ancestral spirits
Yeah.
back home.
Yeah.
So, there's a
Again,
bonfire. Yeah.
referencing coming
Yeah.
back to that original tradition of them coming down from the mountain. They,
Yeah.
that's, yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Number two, Karoba. Cucumber horses and eggplant cows. Families craft small animal figures using chopsticks stuck into cucumbers, representing fast horses for spirits to arrive quickly, and eggplants representing slow oxen to carry heavy gifts and depart slowly.
Interesting. That all sounds very Native American, if I might
Yeah, yeah.
say, right now, just hitting me, especially the fast horses for the spirit horse, thinking of the Native American traditions, which I mean, um, they do seem to be very, there's a lot of similarities with ancient East Asian uh, culture and things and Native American um, culture.
Yeah, I
Some
think
even,
the,
I
the
think they're even considered in some ways like Asians, like sort of in
yeah, I
certain,
think
yeah,
the South Americans had the concept of yin and yang, but just in a different kind of way. But
yeah,
they understood light and dark, and they considered those to to their
those
extremes, maybe.
ideas. Yeah,
Those
yeah,
ideas, yeah,
definitely. And I mean, they had the the feathered serpent. They had the dragon, the dragons. It was a big thing, and that's a big thing in East Asian culture.
yeah,
The feathered dragons. They had that similar thing. And also, I think of, aren't there like some statues in either Central or South America, where the face looks very like East Asian, like the features, the head, it's just like a head with has very kind of almost East Asian kind of features.
hmm,
I remember
I'm not sure.
coming across that on in some documentary somewhere. I remember seeing that, like National Geographic or something along that lines.
Yeah,
See if anything. Yeah, like this.
okay,
These two. Yeah, they kind of have a little bit of a. Yeah, I always thought it always struck me as a little bit of an East Asian-y
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah. I can see that. Yeah,
look to them
I
a bit.
understand.
Like
Mm.
even these statues. So anyway, coming back, we digress. We come back.
Okay,
Okay.
so Ohaki. So number three,
Yeah.
Ohaki Mairi grave cleaning. So relatives visit family graves to clean tombstones, offer fresh flowers, burn incense, and leave food or sake, rice wine. Number four. Do you mind just scrolling it down a little?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just thinking of some things
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
with the
That's quite universal, isn't it? You know, cleaning your
yes.
family's graves, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
my family does it,
Exactly.
it's normal.
Exactly. And there's a lot of things about cleaning in these festivals too like the ancient kind of part of it, something to do with like cleaning, sweeping away like the next day, sweeping away the sort of the effects of like the kind of the kind of the naughty ghosts, the negative ghosts, or the wrath of the ancestors or whatever. They would actually sweep that away, something along that line, which made me think of, and then this kind of made me think of it again, was the importance in like sort of ancient Western kind of paganism of the broom, and
Yeah.
folk spiritual beliefs of the broom and its purpose of sweep. Yeah. Anyway, I mean,
Hmm.
obviously, there's probably a lot of like stuff projected in the neo paganism onto that and whatever, but it did make me think of that um, when I was going through this. Anyway, so go ahead.
Sure. So number four, Bon Odori, or Odori, yeah, Odorai. Abon dances. So communities gather at local temples, parks, and shrines around a central wooden scaffold, a yagura. Participants dance in a circle to traditional folk music, accompanied by taiko drums, welcoming the spirits to join the celebration.
Sorry, I was
Sounds like
distracted there
dancing
for a minute.
around. That's good.
Yeah.
Dancing around the Mayday, the Mayday
Yeah,
pole.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It all that like all that comes to mind, definitely. And I think the reason for the dance, the specific Oban dance, is related to uh I don't know if it's a tradition or if it's actually in the sutra um about what's the monk's name? Mulian? Mulian. Sort of once he, you um did the sort of transfer of merit ritual, the offerings to the through the monks, um um he danced for joy, like when and it helped his mother, and she was, I think, released from the ghost realm to go on to whatever her next presumably a better rebirth. He danced for joy, or at a minimum she was in a better condition. Then he was in a much better condition, maybe a higher condition within the ghost realm, because there's different levels in all the realms, isn't there? So, but anyway, whatever it was, I don't know if I'm getting any of that right. He he danced for joy, or he you know what I mean? And I think that's where the Oban, at least one of the origins of the Oban dance comes from,
Mm. Yeah,
was
like
that
and also like dancing around the like the fire, dancing
the
around the
bonfire.
fire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's all very invokes all those ancient pagan
yeah, yeah,
sensibilities, doesn't it? Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
All right.
and lastly, number five, the Okiribi and Toro Nagashi send off fires and floating lanterns. On the final night, send off fires, Okiribi, are lit. In many regions, paper lanterns containing candles are set to float down rivers toward the sea, Toro Nagashi, to symbolically guide spirits back to the realm of the dead. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So they can
So
rest.
exactly. So on to the Jodo Shinshu. Oh, did you want to say anything about that actually?
No, no, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
So Jodo Shinshu interpretation. So bringing it home now, bringing it home. Jodo Shinshu interpretation and celebration of Obon. Jodo Shinshu, true Pure Land school of Buddhism, founded by Shinran Shonin in 13th century Japan, offers spiritual interpretation through Shin teachings. In traditional folk Buddhism and Taoism, the Hungry Ghost Festival is based on the idea that living people must generate merit or offer food to save suffering ghosts from hell. Jodo Shinshu rejects the notion that the living can perform rituals to transfer merit to or alter the karmic fate of the deceased. That's what we were saying earlier. That's exactly what we were discussing. I raised earlier. According to Shin doctrine, immediate rebirth in Pure Land. All beings who entrust themselves to Amida Buddha's great compassion, Tariki, or other power, are assured of immediate uh, rebirth in the Pure Land upon death, becoming Buddhas themselves. Therefore, ancestors are not trapped in the Hunger Ghost realm, nor do they wander the earth needing food offerings. So, one thing I just want to say here is it's this focus on our assured immediate rebirth in Pure Land upon death. That is not what Jodo Shinshu teaching is. We are assured immediate birth in this life. And in some sense, we are in the Pure Land in this life. Um, Not in the sense, not that we can experience that as an enlightened being or, or as a Buddha or a Bodhisattva would experience it, but in some sense we are as a bamboo though we are at that stage of non-retrogression and the immediate rebirth is here and now in this life in this very life and
Yeah.
then obviously there's this and that there's also the immediacy of the merit transference of Amida forth going forth and return. There's some interpretations of that there's some interpretation of that it's more immediate than having to die and come back. Do you see what I mean? That the return, that the going
Yeah.
forth and the return is here and now as well in Shinjin. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Immediately you do
in that
have
moment
a
of Shinjin. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, you have like a for me, I feel like I have a new level of confidence in the way I approach things, like because I have a Mida next to me, kind of thing, and
yeah.
he's yeah, he's the best. So I'm just grateful for that.
So yeah, I just wanted to kind of say that you know, though there is an aspect of it where when we die, that does happen. Things do happen. But it's
Karma.
there's also an in this life aspect of that teaching is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if I expressed that very well or expressed it exactly as the
No, no,
teaching
you said it
would
well. You
go.
said it really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore, ancestors are not trapped in the Hungry Gross realm, nor do they wander the earth needing food offerings at some point. I guess we could say. So, gathering of joy and gratitude, Kangi E. Rather than an eerie period of appeasing scary spirits, Jodo Shinshu views Obon as Kangi, gathering of joy. The festival is, although I have to say, I kind of like the eerie aspects of this time of the year. I like that whole thing, and it doesn't make me feel not feel joyful or make me feel like, ooh, I'm afraid, but I do like that eerie. I do like the eerie, shadowy aspect of this time of the year, the return of shadows, I do like that, all that aspect of things. But
Yeah, fair enough.
anyway, okay, anyway, rather than an eerie period of appeasing scary spirits, Jodo Shinshu views Obon as Kangi, gathering a joy. The festival is an opportunity to express deep gratitude, and then Butsu to Amida Buddha for unconditional salvation and to honor departed loved ones who have become enlightened Buddhas. Now, that's cool. I hadn't known that or thought it. I didn't hadn't kind of thought that that would be kind of, you know, part of what we can part of the celebration would be that.
And this is kind of going on the assumption that your deceased relatives were
Yeah.
had
Jodo
entrusted
Shinshu
in
and
Amida
yeah,
Buddha.
entrusted in Amida, Chin, etc. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's really that's kind of nice. Um, or yeah, kind of nice. That's not really. That's kind of a understatement of the millennia. Um, ancestors as teachers. Ancestors do not return to receive food. Rather, the memory of the deceased serves as a teaching, dharma, reminding the living of impermanence, mujo, and the preciousness of life. That's interesting. I'll be interested to see once I publish this to have um, Kyokan and Johan come in and discuss these things in a bit more. Give their
Yeah,
further nuance that they can offer um, about
yeah, that'd be great.
all these things. So yeah, and maybe you can be a part of that in
Yeah,
the
yeah, I'd
next
love to. Yeah.
next session when we bring that together. So ancestors as teachers. Ancestors do not. Oh yeah, I just read. Sorry, I just read that. So I rather like that. I do want to actually. I'm just going to read it again because I do like ancestors as teachers. Ancestors do not return to receive food. Rather, the memory of the deceased serves as a teaching, dharma, reminding the living of impermanence, mujo, and the preciousness of life.
And I think that's the point, isn't it? It's about the recollection that, yeah,
Mm,
make the most of your life, or
mm.
just remember it's not going to be around forever. So
Impermanence. Yeah.
well, in this state of existence, so
Yeah.
why not you know um have that understanding of how precious things are
Mhm.
actually, like, really are.
The precious opportunity of human birth, the precious opportunity to, to even encounter the Dharma, encounter
Yes, yes,
Buddhism, yeah, all that, and encounter and have that opportunity to then turn toward it. And all right.
yes.
Jodo Shinshu celebrations worldwide. In Jodo Shinshu temples across Japan, the United States, Canada, and Brazil, Obon is celebrated as a joyous community event. Oh, sorry, you want to take over for a bit?
Yeah, sure. So Hatsubon a services. A special memorial service is held for family members who passed away within the previous year. It is a time for the family to listen to the Dharma and reflect on how the deceased brought them closer to the teachings of Buddhism.
Lovely. So lovely.
Joyful. Shall I just carry on
Yeah,
through it
Pete
all?
could keep going. Yeah, because we only got a minute and
Sure.
37 left, so if we can get through it. So
Joyful Bon Odore. Bon Odore dancing is explicitly understood as an expression of joy and gratitude for Amida Buddha's compassion. Dancers often wear matching yukata, cotton kimonos, or happy coats, and dance enthusiastically, regardless of skill, embodying non-judgmental acceptance.
boom,
I need to join in, to be honest.
boom. Yeah, yeah. I want to. It does make you want to be there, doesn't it?
Yeah. Chochin lanterns,
I
temple
love
ground.
that last bit though, embodying non-judgmental acceptance. Boom.
Yeah, that's
Very, very
beautiful, isn't it?
key.
That's
Anyway, but go ahead. Key to our
awesome.
whole tradition are to Jodo Shinshu. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
And Chochin lanterns, temple grounds are decorated with colorful paper lanterns. Chochin, rather than lighting the path for lost ghosts, the lanterns symbolize the light of Amida Buddha's wisdom
Yes.
cutting through the darkness of human ignorance in general.
Beautiful. Lovely. And on that note, shall we do some quick Nimbutsu before it ends? Session ends.
Yeah.
Namo Mita Butsu.
Thank you, Ganka.
Namo
Namo
Mita
Amida
Butsu.
Butsu. Namo Amida
Namo Mita
Butsu.
Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namanda
Namo
Butsu. Namanda.
Namo
Namanda
Amida
Butsu.
Butsu.
Namanda.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namanda. All right, my friend. Take care. Until next time.
Until next time.